Alright, so in this video I'm going to show you how to add basemaps to QGIS 3.2 using the XYZ Tiles plugin or option. It's also known as tile map services or slippy tiles depending on what provider you're using. And so with tile map services, they're tiled. I mean, it looks seamless kind of when you're loading it up, but it's really just loading a bunch of extra little squares, and they're all defined by a zoom level, and you can kind of see the little squares loading up as I zoom in. So let's look at a URL, because typically you'll just type in a URL to connect to one of the tile servers. So if we look at the example of OpenStreetMap, so you have the domain, which is tiled.openstreetmap.org, and then a z variable, which is the zoom level, and so 0 is like the whole world. It's a very zoomed out view, and then like 18 or 20 is super close, like a town or a building. And then X and Y are just identifiers for the tiles. So this will be like, if you have the world, you just have 0 and then 1, 1. And then if it's like zoomed in, then it's 1, and then 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 2, 1, 2, etc., depending on how they label it. So you'll just take this URL, copy it, and then go into XYZ Tiles, do a new connection. So we'll call this one OpenStreetMap. And then you just paste here, and then you can change the zoom level, but it's only as high as the server that's rendering them. So if they don't have any tiles past zoom level 18, then it's just not going to render anything closer than that. And then we don't need any authentication. We don't have any proxy URLs or refers for this, so we can just click OK. And then this is the one we added, so we'll remove this one. Then add the one we just added. So load it up just fine. And so just as a note, these tile map services are typically in EPSG 3857 or Google Pseudo-Mercator, typically the Google projection, because Google uses the same type of a format for their tiles, and I'll show you how to connect those in a separate video, just because there's some other stipulations for those layers. And so if you want to see some of the other layers that are available, there are some online web resources that show those. One is QMS or Quick Map Services by NextGIS, who's done a lot of development for QGIS and a few plugins as well, which the Quick Map Services plugin is another way of connecting to these tiles, but since it's been built into QGIS 3.2, you can just put in the URLs from this list. So if you go onto their site, they have a bunch of providers, so like from Mapbox and OpenStreetMap, Google Maps. And so they also have different types of services, like web map services, web feature services, GeoJSON. So when you're using the XYZ tile thing, you're going to be using the tile map services. And so, as I mentioned, a lot of these places have like API keys or tokens, and so you'll just append those at the end. So like with this OpenStreetMap, has an API key at the end of the URL, and that's a way for the service providers to know how much people are using their servers, to provide metrics, and also maybe protect against abuse of their servers. If someone's downloading their whole tile service, it could be pretty taxing. And then Leaflet also has like a provider demo that shows what some of these base maps look like, so you can decide whether or not you want them. And their format is using JavaScript, so it's a little different. And so if you can see that URL there, you can typically just remove that first variable, because sometimes they'll have extra servers like a server, B server, etc. So you can just delete that part and then it should work, or just change the parenthesis s into just a letter like an a dot tile or whatever. So that's another resource. And then I'm sure there's other resources online that show you different web map services. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. It's pretty simple, and it's a nice, easy way of giving you a reference point for your maps, and they're pretty simple to use. So hopefully that is useful information, and until the next video.